It is a line, not the most famous one, from what is, from my biased point of view, the greatest movie of all time, Network. Well, I'll tell you what happened. I just ran out of bullshit, says Peter Finch as the network anchorman Howard Beale. I don't have any bullshit left. I just ran out of it, you see? Impossible as it is for me to believe I saw it last night, at least in the context of presidential debates, Donald Trump actually ran out of bullshit. I do not mean to say by this that he was honest. From CNN fact-checking machine Daniel Dale, it seemed he was lying and manipulating reality at an even higher rate than usual. But with a few momentary exceptions, the salesmanship, the oxygen of his rise to power was gone. It is conceivable that it was actually the quality of the material that ran out. He did emails in 2016. He tried to do them again last night and they fell flat. It is conceivable that Rudy Giuliani's nightmare left Trump's sales job flaccid. It is possible that the debate microphone format constrained him, but he needed a debate knockout, and he needed to tattoo some scandal onto Joe Biden's forehead, and he never came close to either. And whatever it was, if I were a Donald Trump supporter today, I would be not just terrified and disappointed, I would be heading towards a coma of disbelief. Because a Donald Trump without bullshit is a Donald Trump who's just stupid and dull. That wasn't a change of tone. That wasn't him being presidential, and despite his claims Friday, that wasn't an effort to play by rules or show a new side. There were very few remarks that would read any different than anything else he has said since he went crazy in 2015 and unleashed this nightmare on us. But aloud, he just ran out of bullshit. I've actually seen this before with him, once in person. I've met him several times, and every once in a while, the Emperor's New Clothes act just falls away, and he is left with just him, just reality. And he's just not any good at reality. He was born for television. His life before television was mere prelude. The ratings and the non-delayed gratification were his crack. Television's pace was the perfect setting for his compulsive talking and compulsive lying and compulsive personality. I know these elements. Everybody who has ever been in television has at least some of them, even in small measure, myself included. To think you should be on TV and that people should listen to your opinions is a compulsive behavior. To think you should be president and you should rule over people requires, at least occasionally, 1,000 times as much compulsive behavior. But he just ran out of it, you see? I cannot with certainty explain what happened. I don't know where the Emperor's New Clothes went. It is very possible that the travails of Rudy Giuliani undermined Trump's conviction in the China smear. Rudy's firmest grip on reality is when they filmed him with his hand in his pants in the new Borat movie. It is also very possible that somebody told Trump that the guy they were using for the China smear had come across in his pre-debate news conference like a very bad used iPhone salesman. It is also very possible that somebody told him the Wall Street Journal had worked up an investigation of that guy's claims about Biden and his son and a venture with a Chinese company, and that the Journal, Rupert Murdoch's Wall Street Journal, had written, "Corporate records reviewed by the Wall Street Journal show no role for Joe Biden." And maybe he knew that Fox News, Rupert Murdoch's Fox News, had done its own investigation and found the so-called Joe Biden emails didn't make one reference to Joe Biden, and that even the source stated that Joe Biden has nothing to do with this. It is even possible that somebody told Trump that public documents had surfaced and that his guy had just lost a court case 10 days ago and he had been ordered to pay somebody $659,000. Whatever it is, although Trump half-heartedly and vaguely brought up the scandal that didn't stick to the wall, tellingly, he either never bothered to learn or could not be bothered to remember his own guy's name. Disaster. He didn't have any bullshit left. For Trump, until the debate Thursday night, the bullshit had flown non-stop for 5 long years, with one exception. On September 14, 2016, at the Bethel United Methodist Church in Flint, Michigan, Trump had been invited there to address the congregation about the water crisis and their efforts to ameliorate it. He began there, but then he went on to attack Hillary Clinton, and then the pastor, the Reverend Faith Green Timmons, walked up to him while he was talking and calmly but firmly said, Mr. Trump, I invited you here to thank us for what we've done in Flint, not give a political speech. Stunningly, Trump was chastised. He almost apologized. His volume dropped to almost nothing, and he returned to the topic of the water crisis. Donald Trump did what he was told. The ability to mute the microphones was the godsend. Anybody who has ever moderated one of these debates, as I once did, told you it would be. Maybe Trump felt constrained by that, or maybe the strong and insistent and calm but firm performance from the moderator, Kristen Welker, who did what you have to do sometimes, shout the candidates down, stopped Trump in his tracks the same way Reverend Timmons did 4 long years ago. If it was any of those things, bottle it. If not, who knows? The boring pedantry of Donald J. Trump's social misfit may go right back into the cave, hidden behind the piles and the hills and the mountains and the continents and the planets of nonsensical bluster, and it may be trotted back out in front of the crowds at his Bund rallies. But even they probably sense that even the crazy pills-grade performance of the first debate would have served Trump better in his bid for the proverbial Hail Mary than did 90 Minutes Thursday night, where it sounded like his only function was as a big weight holding his podium in place. Because it doesn't matter if Trump now returns to abnormal. This was his chance. He blew it. Well, I'll tell you what happened. He just ran out of bullshit. He didn't have any bullshit left. He just ran out of it, you see? All right, let's do the headlines for the weekend. They never learn. Oval Office meeting midday Friday for a conference call with Netanyahu of Israel, somewhere between 20 and 40 people in the room, nobody but reporters apparently wearing masks. So Trump mocked Jeff Mason of Reuters because he was wearing a mask. Then, of course, for added fun, Trump asked Netanyahu to agree that Biden could not have made some deal or another, and Netanyahu pauses and then says with extreme awkwardness, well, we're always grateful for any help from anybody in America. And Trump realizes Netanyahu is backing away from him, and Trump makes a face. The next time somebody asks Netanyahu about Trump, I'm guessing Netanyahu's answer will be, Trump? Trump who? Number 2, as that story of the 545 kids that the Trump lackeys have kidnapped and locked in cages reverberates, the Trump campaign today responded to it. Stupidly, of course. The campaign PR flack, Tim Murtaugh, said that many of the parents didn't want their kids back, and that was the real problem here. That's not only an inhuman thing to say, but it's also an impossible one, because the point of the story of those 545 kids, separated from their parents in our names, at our borders, into our cages. The point of that story was that the government and lawyers appointed by the court that ordered the government to pay for this effort, those people had not been able to find the parents of those 545 kids, so not one of those 545 kids had parents who didn't want them back. It's just a flat-out lie and an inhuman one. And Tim Murtaugh is a particularly sad example of the corrosive effect of getting too close to Trump and having your personal morals erased, as in Mr. Murtaugh's case. His grandfather was the longtime manager of the baseball team, the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was Roberto Clemente's great supporter and advocate in the earliest years of his career. His grandfather was, in fact, the first baseball manager to put a team of 9 players of color on the field. And his grandson, the spokesman for the Trump campaign, Tim Murtaugh, is a racist monster working for another racist monster. I hope you don't have to talk to your grandfather in an afterlife, sir. Some polls, as item number 3, the Florida politics poll is Biden 49-47. That is 3 consecutive polls in Florida that have Biden up by 2 or more. The poll adds a point, builds in a point for Republicans. They start at +1 to compensate for shy Trump voters, or as they should accurately be called, ashamed Trump voters. Morning Call and Muhlenberg College in Pennsylvania. Biden 51-44, which sounds good, but there is a strong caveat. The plus-minus on that poll is huge, 5.5. Thus, the thing we used to use in the MSNBC days, the Keith number, is ridiculous. It's 11 points. It could be Biden 40, Trump 55 for all we know. Run hard through the tape. Number 4, something of a kicker and also grim. Has your bird been killed by a windmill today? Trump always goes back to this and did so in the debate on Thursday night. We cannot go to wind power because the windmills, they kill all the birds. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service says yes. About 234,000 birds are killed annually in this country by colliding with wind turbines. And 25 million, which would be a lot more, are killed by colliding with electrical lines, overhead wiring. 2.4 billion are killed by cats, 600 million by windows, and 234,000 by wind turbines. Also 72 million by poison, which of course takes us back to Trump and his supporters. And we have the gift of a tweet from Friday afternoon from Louisiana GOP Congressman Clay Higgins. I will mention his resume before I read the tweet to you. He sits on the Homeland Security Committee. He's a member of the Republican side of that committee and on the Oversight Committee, so he gets to investigate things, and he's there to protect us. And he tweeted this today. This is not sarcasm. My wife, Clay Higgins tweets, has the gift of premonition. Last night she dreamed that federal squads were in our home, seizing guns, knives, quote, unauthorized foods, and stored water. They said we had been, quote, reported. Becca awoke crying. What happened to our freedom? She asked. What indeed? Higgins writes. Congressman, no, spoiler alert, your wife does not have the gift of premonition. She is having a psychotic episode. Get a doctor. Good night and good luck.